Good morning, watch nerds. Now, my first ever Direnzo watch was the DRZ07. I flipped it because it wore a little bit bigger than its 40mm dimensions, and the loom wasn't very good. Other than that, it was a really nice watch, and it gave me a taste for the Direnzo design language. So as you may know, Direnzo watches are owned by Sergio Direnzo. They're designed by Sergio Direnzo, QC checked by Sergio Direnzo, if necessary, regulated by Sergio Direnzo. And I believe he even ships them himself. I'm surprised there are enough hours in the day for him, to be honest. Now, Sergio has loaned me this watch to review, so it will be going back. However, I did decide to buy a purple one, and for full disclosure, Sergio did give me a small discount. And welcome to my unpaid and unsponsored review of the Direnzo DRZ07, or the Universo. The watch arrived in this rather uninspiring box, but inside is a rather nice watch roll with a cleaning cloth and a 2-year warranty. It's always nice to receive something you can actually use, and not just a box that sits in a cupboard. As usual, let's start with the dimensions, because if they don't suit you, it's not worth watching the rest of the video, unless of course you like listening to my dulcet tones. Now, the case is 37.5mm and the lug width is 20mm. The lug to lug is 45mm. And the depth is about 11mm, which includes a flat sapphire crystal with AR coating. With all the links included, it weighs about 129 grams. In my opinion, the watch wears to size. Of my 17cm wrist, I consider it about perfect. Now, I think this will fit most wrist sizes, unless of course you've given up on eating, or you spend your life in McDonald's. Just a quick wrist check. This is my watch of the day. It's the Orient Bambino. Inside the watch, we've got an elaborate grade Solita automatic SW200-1 movement, and as mentioned, if it needs a little bit of final regulating, Sergio will do it for you. It's worth noting though, these movements often leave the factory running a bit fast, but they generally settle down after a few days. It's also worth noting that although they can be hand wound, they don't actually like it much, so just give them half a dozen turns and then shake them for a minute or so. As expected, the movement hacks, and depending on whether you choose a dated or an undated version, you won't get a ghost position. That's a nice touch. The power reserve is about 40 hours, and these movements are both accurate and reliable. Let's see what the time grapher thinks of it. And there we go, no complaints there. A great rate, a very good beat error, and although not fully round, a very good amplitude. The 6.3mm crown screws down to help the watch's 100 metres of water resistance. It's nicely knurled, and as you would expect, it operates the movement without issue. Now, I do love it when a crown has got a buttery smooth engagement, and whilst this one isn't bad, it offers a tad more resistance than I would have liked. That may be something Sergio could look at for the future. Now, Christopher Ward, a great example how to get this right, and I've even purchased a few inexpensive watches of late that were surprisingly good as well. Oh, one last thing, as a bonus, the crown's loomed. What next then? Let's have a look at the bracelet. Now, I love a Jubilee bracelet, but I can't help wondering if the beads of rice may have suited the watch better, but that's just personal taste, and actually I'm not quite sure myself. It's very well made, very comfortable, and it's easy to adjust as a result of some very well engineered screw pins. The solid end links fit perfectly to the case, but after some experimentation, apparently Sergio dropped the quick release spring bars. Now, I'm perfectly aware that depending on the design of the watch, these don't always work, and from personal experience, I don't think they save you that much time anyway. Now, the bracelet tapers down from 20mm to 17mm, then back up to 19mm for the clasp. Now, this is the first time Direnzo have used a Nodex on the fly adjustable clasp, and whilst I love on the fly clasps, I don't think this would be my favourite, the problem being that when it's fully extended, you get this unsightly bit at the end. However, to be fair, I don't think it would be that hard to negotiate that. All in all though, the bracelet and the clasp are excellent. Now, I think this could be a bit of a strap monster, so here's a bit of a fashion show. In my opinion, this is a perfect size for a Garda watch, as I find 36 a little bit small but 39 just a tad large. Now the top of the bezel is finely brushed, which then leads down to a polished side to the bezel. Now the case sides themselves are slightly rounded and beautifully polished. Normally I prefer brush sides, but this 800 Vickers scratch resistant coating Direnzo I've used, well, it leaves me assured. It's nicely shaped, and as mentioned, it fits the back of my wrist absolutely perfectly. The case back screws down, has a Direnzo logo etched on it, and there is some basic information engraved around the sides. Not much more to say about that really, apart from the fact it's a nice case back. The dial, oh my word, the dial. Well, without doubt it's the watch's crowning glory. Other than the Adventuring dial, all other colour options have got a fume sunburst finish. And here are the dial options. They come in either a date or a no dated version, with the dated version having a round date window at the 6 o'clock, albeit it's quite small. It's not a particularly complex dial, but pretty all the same. Now we start off with a dark rehaut that's got a minute track printed on it. Then we move into the raised indices with triangles at the 12, 3, 6 and 9, unless of course you opt for the dated version. As you can see, the rest of the indices are round and they're chrome surrounded. Now under the 12 o'clock it reads Direnzo Geneva, and above the 6 o'clock is printed Universo. Look carefully and you can see either side of the 6 o'clock it reads Swiss made. If I'm being picky, I think the rounded indices could have been a tad larger, but I mean just a fraction. Here is a speeded up degradation video of the BGW9 applied loom. It's quite acceptable, but I'm disappointed the rounded type arrow hands lack the longevity of the indices. Okay, it's not a diver's watch, but you know what us watch nerds are like, we'll pick up on that. There are very few things that aren't perfect about this watch. The loom on the hands could be a little bit better, and then there's that little bit on the end of the clasp. However, what you get is an extremely well made timepiece designed and produced in Switzerland with a Swiss movement, a beautiful dial and a lovely case and bracelet. What's more, it's all got an 800 Vickers anti-scratch coating, and in my opinion it's got perfect dimensions. So would I recommend one? Of course I would. And what's more, although not a cheap watch, compare it with what's around for a similar price, and I don't think much gets close. So I suppose I should mention the price now. All the colours apart from the Adventuring dial are 750 Swiss francs, which is about £652 or 847 US dollars. But don't forget to add any relevant import taxes to that, although the postage is free. In my opinion, for a Swiss made watch of this quality, that price is more than fair. So to sum things up, in my opinion this may be Direnzo's best ever watch to date, though I appreciate that is a little bit subjective. Sergio appears to be very in tune with his public, and I can't help but wonder what's coming next. Anyway, I'll leave a link to his site below. So that brings me to the end of this review. If you've enjoyed it, please click on the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, leave your comments below and enjoy the rest of your day.